Hi everybody. Now, I wasn't going to do this video, of course, because who knew this was going to happen? I think it was yesterday the news came out that Disney bought Marvel. I didn't even hear any kind of rumblings that there was a possibility that this was going to happen or anything like that. And wake up yesterday and MSNBC is reporting that, yeah, Disney bought Marvel Comics, Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion. Now, to give you an idea what that's like 2 weeks in Iraq. $4 billion. Let's see, I found a little story here off Beta Globe Investor, which, by the way, is the only time I've ever looked at globeinvestor.com. I'll just read this off to you. The Walt Disney Company said Monday it is buying Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion in cash and stock, bringing characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man to the family of Mickey Mouse and Wall-E. Under the deal, Disney will require ownership of 5,000 Marvel characters, many of them including the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, were co-created by comic book legend Stan Lee. Analyst David Joyce of Miller Talbot and Company said the acquisition will help Disney appeal to young men who have flocked to theaters to see Marvel superheroes in recent times. That contrasts with Disney's recent successes with young women with such fare as Hannah Montana and the Jonas Brothers. It helps Disney add exposure to a young male audience, young male demographic, which has had sort of a lost balance with, Joyce said, noting the $4 billion offer was at full price. Disney said Marvel stockholders will receive $30 per share in cash plus 0.745 Disney shares for every Marvel share they own. That values each Marvel share at 50 based on Marvel stock prices. Marvel shares jumped $10.17 or 26% to $48.82 shortly after the market opened. Disney shares fell 47 cents or 1.8% to $26.37. Disney said the boards of both companies have approved the transaction, but it will require an antitrust review and the approval of Marvel shareholders. That's the whole story. Now, here's a few things where I'm thinking. A lot of people, of course, are doing panicky. You know, Disney has a reputation of being a little bit of a what are we thinking here? Kind of ruthless in their operations, and of course they have the reputation of being, you know, super duper kid friendly and fluffy and stuff like that. Now, this could go a couple of different ways. This could go very similar to the way that Warner Brothers owns DC, which is what I'm thinking will probably be most likely, and that's what I'm hoping mainly. Because don't forget, DC Comics is owned by Warner Brothers, and that all falls in. I mean, yeah, Warner Brothers. God, they also own like Cartoon Network and Hanna-Barbera's old stock of characters. So that all kind of falls together like that, and we'll probably see something similar as far as this is concerned. They'll probably just go under the umbrella. What I'm thinking is there's a possibility that it will have a similar effect on their films, which might not be an advantage anymore, because the advantage Marvel had over DC was DC had to go to Warner Brothers to make all their films, which is why you saw so less films, why they overdepend on Batman and Superman, and occasionally some of the obscure ones slip through, like V for Vendetta, Hellblazer, which was turned into Constantine or Constantine, whichever way you want to say it, and some of their other ones, and their secondary heroes, you know, after Batman and Superman, you know. That's why there's been no Wonder Woman film, or Green Lantern's taken fucking forever, and Flash, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, I mean, over at Marvel, they have more of they've had more of a freedom to deal with studios however they saw fit. So, which is why you saw not just like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Iron Man get movies, but you know, even fucking Blade and fucking Ghost Rider got movies. Can you imagine like DC doing that as well? I mean, so now that they're owned by Disney, I'm guessing that future films, future franchises, Disney's going to want first shot at. So I don't know if this is going to be good for Marvel or bad for Marvel as far as that's concerned. And there's a couple other minor things I'm thinking of. Boom Comics actually has the license to a few Disney products. That's going to be done. One of two things going to happen. Marvel through Disney is going to want to buy Boom, or they're just going to let the license run out. You know, once that comes to expire, and then Marvel Comics will of course do that. Definitely, you can expect a crossover to. Marvel loves to. I mean, Marvel, when they would acquire like products, licenses, or something like that, they would like instantly team them up with something like Spider-Man or X-Men. Remember the Star Trek X-Men crossover? And we'll probably see something like that. Well, I don't know if we'll see like Mickey and Spider-Man. And I'm actually being serious. I'm not kidding. We'll probably see something like that, or maybe The Incredibles. I don't know. We'll see. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, of course, there's the worst case scenario. Miramax. Anybody remember Miramax? The guys who the Weinstein Company, basically. They started in the 90s, and they did a lot of hardcore stuff with Menace to Society and Priest. And then that was the beginning of the 90s. Disney bought them, and then at the end of the 90s, they were doing films like She's All That. So that could happen to Marvel too. Now, of course, I hear people saying, you know, I hope they don't water down Wolverine. I think Wolverine's been watered down. I think Marvel's done that on their own, even without Disney. So that's what I'm wondering right now. So those are just some random thoughts on the Disney buyout, and we'll just see what happens from here. I just hope it's good for comics rather than bad for comics. Even though I still think comics will survive. So it's going to be okay. Push the button, Lindsay.